in that game against McKendree on Sunday, the fact that it even was a game at all coming down the stretch was pretty remarkable. So down 24 in the second half, to come all the way back and tie that game, even if it didn't end up going the Cats' way, what can you say about the way that your guys fought until the bitter end in that one?
Yeah, I think, at halftime we talked about, all right, and this has been a pretty reoccurring theme, like if we're going to lose, let's dictate how we want to lose, and let's lose the way that we have played all year. Aggressive, fast, confident, and then we came out a half, and I really thought we were going to win. And most of the year, during most games, I think we're going to win. There's been a few exceptions to that, but like this was one of those gut feels like we're going to win. Like down 12 with how bad we played, I knew we had a run in us. I knew you could kind of see it in Max's eyes that he was going to go nuts. And I actually think where we lost the game was the start of the second half, because we went from down 12 to down 24. Then we did everything we talked about, got it tied, so went on a 24-point run. Dylan fouls out, probably cost us the game, just in the sense of, and it's not even about just losing him, it was that we had those 5 on the floor for so long that no one else had played at all in the second half, because that was the 5-man group that made the run. So now we're putting in someone that hadn't played basketball in about 45 minutes of real time. And then we take out probably our first team all conference player. That didn't help either. Plus he was protecting the rim. Plus his ball screens are what was causing everything else to work. So I thought that probably cost us the game, was him fouling out. But if we could have started the second half the way we ended up going on that run right away, we'd probably win the game actually pretty easily. With all that being said, if you're going to lose, because you're going to lose at some point unless you win the national title, if you're going to lose, I would rather lose that way where we fought and we battled and we competed. Max Bjork in the last game of his career, he's going to have nothing to hang his head about. I think that felt important to me. And McKendree is, we've played him every year now. There's very few others. There are others. There's very few others that we have more respect for, both either players or coaches. They are absolutely awesome. And if you're going to lose, I like losing to people that I have a ton of respect for and like, because watching them move on feels better. And actually, UMSL, I know a bunch of their kids. We recruited them. One of them played for me. So regardless tonight, I know that the team that wins the region is going to be full of good people that deserve it, and there is some part of me that's happy about that.
Well, one of those good people that you talked about a little bit in there, Max Bjork. I mean, what a way to go out for him. Obviously, it's tough to go out on a loss, but like you said, unless you win the Natty, it happens to everybody. So nothing to hang his hat on, just torches the whole tournament, just kind of ate the game for a while there. Talk a little bit about the way that he showed up on the biggest stage and the legacy he leaves behind for this program.
Yeah, I would have to properly understand exactly where he ranks. You'd have to go into a lot more detail. I can't imagine that many players have done what he did down the stretch. So obviously on the season, the 21 points or whatever, on the 25 and 18, the most wins in school history, and he's the leading scorer. That alone puts you in rarefied air. But then Ferris State in the semis hits a shot fake, step through, bomb 3 to win the game. Saginaw first round dominates down the stretch to win that game. Hillsdale up 3 with 15 seconds to go, hits a bomb step back 3 to win the game. He didn't miss a single important and then the second half against McKendree, tried to single-handedly will us to victory. It's like not real, almost. Like it's like what, Jimmer for Dad or Curry or, obviously that's why this is D2, not D1. But like it's one of the best stretch runs anyone could ever have. And to do all that in your senior year after putting together the season he had, whatever his legacy, I think it was, a couple weeks ago where I went on the long rant about his legacy. That was the start of it. He did more in the last 2 weeks than he did the previous 3 years as far as legacy stuff goes, because all those moments are moments that 99% of college basketball players don't even get to play in those games. So to be able to get us to that point, play in the biggest games, and deliver in the biggest games, it's possible that, you know, he had the best career, or at least the best stretch of career of anyone that's ever played at this school. And I don't know how many players, period, have had that kind of March run in the country. So 34 points a game in the tournament, and player of the tournament in the conference tournament. I just don't know how much better you're going to get than that.
And when you look at it, about I think it was halfway or 3/4 through the first half, and they're shooting almost 80% from the floor, McKendree, and you're like, again, you know you're going to get everyone's best shot at this stage of where you're at in the season, but I mean, what do you tell those guys? Because you got to, you know, you had some timely timeout calls there down the stretch because you just have to stop them from going on these what could be game-ending runs. But you come to a huddle, what do you say to your guys in those moments?
Try to identify what part of it is them playing at an unreal level and what part of it is us playing bad defense. And obviously, whenever it's to that degree, 80%, it's both those things. It's not just one of the things. And I think, you know, our game plan was the same way our game plan's been all year. We can stomach a little bit of the inside buckets, but their inside kids were really good. We got to take away the threes. We made some mistakes that gave wide open threes up. But then once they got hot, they were throwing in bombs and hitting impossible threes. In general terms, if that happens, it usually evens out. They usually start missing, and they did. But we let their best shooter get too many open threes, so he goes 6 of 6 from 3. We could take some of the other stuff with how we play. We have never been able to afford giving up 6 of 6 from 3 or giving up even open threes to best shooters. All year we've taken some blows inside and been able to still win, but we can't let up both. And in this game, we let 3 of 4 for their forward and 6 of 6 for their guard, who are their 2 best shooters. Our whole game plan was we didn't want those guys to make any threes. Literally, that was, to me, the key to the game, was limiting threes for 3 guys, and we didn't do that, and so we couldn't deal with both those things. So it was trying to tell them this part's okay, this part's not okay, and you know, for whatever reason, we were off, and down the stretch is, you know, I don't know what we were, like 10-1 or something to end the year before that. Defensively, we had, I think, one other bad performance, and we lost that one too, and picked the wrong time to have a bad defensive performance for one reason or another. And, you know, I'll do a lot of thinking about why that happened, but it happened, and it was just too bad to overcome.
Despite the way that it ended, still a lot to celebrate for this season. I mean, 25 wins, like you said, Coach, that's the most in a season in program history. Tournament MVP, Max Bjork, GLIAC Tournament Championship, first one since the turn of the century, before most, if not all, of your guys were even alive. So reflect a little bit on this season and what it kind of means and what it is in the larger sense of Northern Michigan basketball.
Yeah, I think, you know, I'll start with the Hillsdale game, because obviously you remember the last one, but at the same time, Hillsdale's gone to the Sweet 16, the Elite 8 the last 2 years. I think their coach is, over time, probably the best coach in the region. You know, not even just one season, but just all the stuff he's done up to this point. They have 4 kids that started on both the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8 team, and they showed up to that game 100% ready, and they played really, really well. And so we beat probably the best team in the region, realistically, playing their best. And I think that maybe is why the McKendree one stings a little bit, because I think we proved that if we played our best, we probably were the best team. But that game was, I've never been involved in anything like that. You know, it would be like an us or Ferris or us in Parkside, where both of us are playing our A+ game. And that just doesn't happen very often. So to see that on the biggest stage, it was so much fun. It was like the perfect basketball game where both teams were playing well, and it was shot making. The defense was actually good in the game, I thought, both ways for the most part. And it was just players making big time plays over and over and over again. So to get to play in that level of game on that stage, that's something that, most players or coaches probably never get a chance to experience. Playing your best in the biggest moment against a team that's playing their best in the biggest moment. And so that was just, so much fun. The last week has been, we tried to have fun with it. The old adage, happy to be there. We were kind of happy to be there, and we didn't run from it. We embraced it. It was fun, and it was joyful, and it was, the experience was so awesome. But then we wanted to win, and I think, I'm just really proud of our guys to be able to have that much fun with it and then still win. And would have I wanted to, for sure. But the one win is, to me, really important. Winning the conference tournament maybe is the most important thing. But if we would have gone there and lost, it wouldn't have felt near as good as winning one did. And obviously after that point, you want to get everyone. But I just think, most wins in school history, it means a ton to me. As I've gotten more into this job, I've now gotten to meet so many of the people off of those historically great teams. And the coolest thing for me was watching all of the alumni that I talked to in the last week who were part of NCAA tournaments in the past, and just watching them, like, their faces light up. I almost can't describe it. Like, if you ask anybody who's done it a question about it, you just see, like, the joy come out of their face, and then they start talking about their experience. And for me, it's twofold. One is it's great to see all these people that are joyful, but also knowing that our guys in the future, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, when someone else asks them about it, they're going to have that. And I thought, that was, to me, probably the most fun part. And then you're hearing all this stuff, and you're hearing all these great players, and you go, man, we won more games than all of them? Like, that's nuts. Like, it's wild. I think there's a lot of teams that, could vie for one of the best in school history, but to just be on that list is unbelievable. And, it makes you feel at some point you're like, really? Like, it's like the imposter syndrome thing. You're like, are you sure? Like, us? Like, really? We're on that list now? But at the same time, I know how hard everyone worked for it. And it means so much to me that our guys got that experience. That's probably the biggest thing that right now I'm feeling, is just that happiness that they're going to get to glow about this year in the future. And it's because of how hard they worked. And this whole team, literally the entire team, took a chance on us. But in this sense, it always feels like me to a degree, because, my first year, I was the youngest D2 coach in the country. We were picked last. We didn't have very much talent. The location isn't exactly a destination. It's hard to get it started. And the kids that took the chance at the start came to a place that, it was probably not the easiest thing to tell your buddies, hey, I'm going to go there and I'm going to go to the NCAA tournament. That probably would have been a little far-fetched to say that. But all these kids early on took a chance before we were good on believing in something. And then to tell them, hey, we're going to do this, and then to actually do it, that part is, it's so cool, and it feels so validating that we were able to do what we said we'd do, but also appreciative, because the only reason we did that is kids were willing to take a chance on us before we were that. And those are the guys that flipped everything. And to get to do it with that group, I think means even more.
So with all that said, for a lot of these guys, there's still plenty more to come. I mean, obviously you graduate Max, he's going to be impossible basically to replace, but most of this team can come back. This is a really young core of players. So how does this team grow from this and carry this into next season and even beyond?
Yeah, I think, it's a choice that we're all going to have to make, but I think I know what I anticipate happening. But is this another step in the growth, or is this the final step and then this is where we're at? And going from 13-17 to 8-8, pretty easy, grand scheme of things. Going from 8-8 to 18-12, a little harder. Going from 18-12 to 25-8, unbelievably hard. I mean, now you're trying to beat the best people and the best teams and the best places. Getting better than this good luck. I mean, it is almost impossible. And because if you get better than this, you're on a list of the 10 teams in the country that are the best and actually are national champion quality teams. Not that it's a guarantee you win it, but if you can take a step from this, that's the company you're in. The company that occupies that spot, it's traditionally at about 10 to 15 schools in the country, and it's the same 10 to 15 schools in the country, and it rotates. Not only has Northern not been on that, other than Grand Valley and Ferris, not many GLIAC teams. Maybe 1 year, one time, but to be there consistently, that's it. But this group, like you said, is super young, super talented, super together, super connected. They have a chance. I think they know that. I think they know what a special opportunity this is, and I think they're aware of it. And now it comes down to trying to flush the emotion of this season and get back in the gym and do the boring, monotonous details in the weight room because all of the winning occurs because of those things. But to go from playing the most relevant game you've ever played in your life and having 2 weeks of the most relevant games and all the excitement and all the exhilaration, and to go back to the boring day-to-day grind of it all is not easy. And that's probably the biggest reason why that elite company is 10 teams and that's the only people that occupy it, because most teams I think that get to this point don't keep trying to get better and working harder. That's where I think our youth might help us a little bit, because I think those young guys are just wired differently and haven't experienced or tasted anything else other than this. And most of them won state titles in high school, and this is kind of their expectation now. And I'm really excited to watch how we work over the course of the next 6 months between now and November, early November. And I know personally, I haven't even met with our guys individually or anything. We just got off the bus last night. But I know personally, I woke up this morning and last night with more of a desire to get better. It's almost addicting, that feeling of being there. And I know I'm going to do everything I can to get us back there and challenge our guys to do everything they can to get us back there. And the next time we go back there, if we get the opportunity, I think the goal is not going to be to win a game, or the goal isn't we can compete. And I think we saw that. And I think that was the other sneaky important thing for us, is we left there knowing we aren't far off from being able to win it. And I mean, that feeling is wait, we could do this, and we're good enough to do this. It's different, and maybe you need a little bit of that before you can actually go do it. Maybe you got to taste it first, and we did that last year with tasting the conference championship, lost, and I'm hoping we can use the taste of the national tournament to really use it to get back there. Full well knowing that once you get there, it's like any other playoff scenario. You can lose any game because everybody's good. I mean, I thought, Hillsdale just ran into unbelievably hot Northern Michigan team. Otherwise, they might have won the whole thing. Once you're there, every game is going to be a coin flip, more or less. But the only way you can give yourself a chance to win those coin flips is to put yourself in the tournament again. And so that's the goal and that's the mission. And I think seeing it will really help understand that a little bit more and understand how important all the games are throughout the year, because we were this close to not making it this year. And I think that also should help our guys. But yeah, I'm excited. It's just, this was so much fun. I just want to do it again, and I want to, see how these guys grow, and if they can keep making the strides that they've made in the last couple of years, I think we're in for a pretty fun run with all these dudes.